I'm Kevin Stertzel.
Go ahead, Kevin.
All right. Yeah, no, thanks for having me. How many folks in the room heard of the Emergency Services District, or ESD 9, before a month ago?
I've heard of it before.
Well, so I'm running to be a commissioner. I got 2 running mates. We're trying to unseat some incumbents that are getting a little loose with our taxpayer funds. Early voting for the ESD election starts Monday at 9 a.m., runs through May 3rd. It includes the Saturday, April 30th, I believe. It does not include the Sunday. We're encouraging everybody to go out to the early voting location, which is on Telge Road on the south side, over the railroad tracks, down there a little piece. It's a giant building called the Fire Administration Building. We're encouraging everybody to go there for the early voting period because we think that's how we win. Otherwise, you know, they make this election very difficult. Only 1,800 people voted last time. We're trying to dramatically change that outcome. If you wait until May 7th to vote, the formal election day, you actually have to go to a firehouse. And they're only allowing voting in 5 of them, and it's a little complicated to figure out. It's essentially the firehouse closest to you. But, you know, so we need your support. We need you to come out. Like I said, we're trying to unseat some incumbents. We have serious concerns with how they're spending our tax dollars. They get a piece of your property tax, if you look at your bill, and also they get 1% of the sales tax. So that 8.25% we pay is 1% of that goes to the ESD. Now, with population growth and so forth, the amount of money they've collected and have on hand has gone from extraordinary to absurd. All right. So this administration took over a budget that was about $36 million when they started. Current year budget is expected to be $78 million. And on top of that, with all the tax money they've collected, they're sitting on $192 million as of the beginning of March. Cash.
Wow.
Right? Of our tax money. Now, we don't understand why they don't quite that much. And we're going to get to the bottom of that, among other things, many other things that need to be addressed. This current, how much time do I have? All right, I'll keep going, I can go all day. Just boot me off, give me a hug or whatever. Yeah, so one of the other issues we have is, just a couple years ago, we had 225 volunteer firefighters here in the ESD. Today, we're down to about 75. They've made a concerted effort to push out our volunteers who founded this fire department decades ago, who ran it admirably. Now, due to population growth, the community decided we need a mix of paid and volunteer just for reliability purposes. But this administration has made a concerted effort to push out the volunteers. They want a fully paid force, which is also, to my dismay and much heartburn, they have also unionized. All right, so now, not only do we have to deal with a paid fire force, we have to deal with a very expensive unionized fire force. All right, a lot of these guys came up out of Houston, where they were already unionized. So they formed a local, and now we got to deal with a union, which is never fun. So those are the challenges we face. We have, I personally, I am a former auditor. I began my career at Ernst & Young, one of the big 4 international accounting firms, right out of college. I later went to work for one of my clients, which was Black & Decker. I also worked for a company called W.R. Grace. And my day job now for the last 18 years is I work for an agency that regulates Wall Street. I'm not supposed to say the 3 letters, but you can figure it out. If you follow Elon Musk or Twitter, we're in the news a lot. So my day job is to bring transparency and accountability to Wall Street and corporate America, make them disclose what they don't want to talk about, and protect your 401k, protect your pension. That's my day job. So I want to bring transparency and accountability to this board, and that's fully what I intend to do. So that's what I got for you guys. Do you have any questions?
Couple of questions.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know which you were in 9 or 11? One goes by zip code, one goes by precinct.
It's a really good question. So,
And I did both.
Kevin, can you repeat that?
Voted both of them?
oh, sorry.
Give her a mic, Tom, and then maybe repeat the question so folks back here can hear.
I just asked, how do you know whether you're in District 9 or 11? Because one goes by zip code, one goes by precinct. I'm in both, so do I get to vote in both elections? I don't know who's gonna call when I call.
The answer, if you look up on Harris Votes, your address or your name, and you can find your voter registration, and if you go off, it's down, they have the big districts in the card that we normally carry, but down below, it'll show you all the districts that you can vote in. So we can do that right now for you, maybe someone get
I've already done that.
what's
One
that?
goes by precinct, one goes by zip code. There you go.
Yeah, so again, you go Harris Votes, regardless, if you go down below, it'll show you exactly which districts you can vote in. So I'm glad to show you, or if someone's got a phone, go to Harris Votes, they can help you look it up.
Yeah.
Just say,
Well,
I got the zip direct from Nana. I sent an email and that's my answer.
Have you received any correspondence from us?
I got one this morning.
A postcard?
No. But,
Uh,
no. I didn't have either one.
I got one.
You got, we sent out 10,000 mailers the other day. They should have landed in some people's mailboxes. Have you been getting any text messages from us? We sent out 25,000 text messages. Yeah. We're gonna look for you. It sounds like there's a good chance you're in 11.
Yeah, because that's what.
If you're not hearing from us,
But I know.
yeah,
We'll look at that.
yeah, we can look that up for you.
Any other questions? Entertain one or two other questions for Kevin here. Any other questions for Kevin? ESD 9. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Yeah.
Is this a volunteer position?
Essentially. It does receive a small monthly stipend. It's a couple $100. My intention is to donate that to the volunteers in the form of lunch and dinner. You know, I'm gonna walk over there with 50 pounds of Hans crawfish or something like that. Maybe some Spring Creek barbecue. That's my intention. It's immaterial. It's extremely immaterial to me. It's not why we're doing it. We're looking to be taxpayer advocates here. Somebody needs to be looking out for the interests of the taxpayers. Currently, two of the people that we're trying to remove, probably fine gentlemen, they're firefighters. First question is, what do they know about running a budget, upwards of $100 million? But second, they just made their fellow firefighters some of the highest paid firefighters in the state. All right, so you got firefighters giving raises to their fellow firefighters. Where was the taxpayer in that negotiation? It wasn't there. All right, so we're trying to bring, taxpayer advocacy, be good stewards for the taxpayers. I'm an expert in finance and accounting. I can tear apart that budget and save the taxpayers money.
One other question. We'll let Kevin go. One other question. Yes, sir. Luke?
Sir, when you talk about accountability in our taxes, do you expect the tax base for you to try to reduce our tax base, and how has the tax base grown in recent years?
When you refer to the tax base, do you mean the population or the property values?
Really both. How do you recognize the tax revenues that have come in and the growth versus the population growth?
Yeah, so our population has grown about 20% during the current administration. However, the budget has grown 340%. It's not consistent. The tax revenue that's being derived from the sales tax has become an exceptional amount, and probably all that's necessary. So as our property values keep going up, they keep getting a larger dollar value from us. It's a fixed percentage applied to a larger fair value. So they're getting a higher tax result as a result of that. We don't quite understand why they need that. The amount of the budget growth is incongruent to the population growth. Yeah. They've gotten creative. They've really gotten creative with how they're spending money. I visited several fire stations. There's very new equipment in these things. Most of the trucks are 2020 or 2021 builds. They have some exceptional new firehouses. In some cases, they're building firehouses where we don't really seem to need one, like Station 6, for instance, is getting a new station. I visited Station 6. It's fully functional. The volunteer crew that I visited with loves it. Why did we need a new Station 6? Just because we have the money? Is that why? It seems like the likely case. So there's a whole lot to contend with as far as the tax base and the tax revenues they're collecting. And we intend to whittle down that massive cash position they're sitting on to something more reasonable that still allows for the ESD taxpayers to be safeguarded in the event of a disaster. But like I said, it's gone from exceptional to absurd. Yes, ma'am. Oh, sorry.
Do you happen to know the ratio of, say, the employees per the population similar to like law enforcement? How many is it taking to serve that level of population? And then how does it compare to law enforcement or emergency services, things like that? What's the differences?
The difference between law enforcement versus the firefighters, let's say, is it's more a function of distance, right? So they apply a 5-minute rule. A response time rule is what's in play here. So as population is expanding westward in our district, out Fairfield and beyond, you know, the question that they have to address is, can the fire department be at an emergency within 5 minutes? All right, so that's how they make their determinations for staffing and number of stations. As of right now, we understand that there's three new planned stations.
Could you explain about how we vote here? I looked up the ballot and it said I could vote for 1, 2, or 3 of this list of 6 or 7.
Sure.
And so, but you're running for a position that's got a number on it, so I didn't understand that.
Okay, yeah, so there's 3 positions. I didn't realize this, I was just yelling. So there's 3 positions that are up for election, all right? So there's 3 incumbents who have served their term that are up for re-election. Those are the 3 we wish to remove and replace with our candidates. So you get to vote for 3 candidates, all right? And we're asking you to vote for positions 1, 4, and 5. It's really easy to remember. Number 45 was number 1. Just take that to the polls.
Kevin, can I add to that, just to clarify a little bit? So they're not numbered, but you'll see 7 candidates for 1 position, but you are allowed to vote 3 times, so for 3 candidates, but they're not numbered. But the sequence, the order that they are in are that for the candidates that we're supporting is 1, 4, and 5. That makes sense? So they won't see numbers. Bring the cards with you, bring the little business cards to make it easy, but the names are the order, 1st, 4th, and 5th. Okay?
Yes, ma'am, you have a question?
Yeah, I don't need a microphone. All right. Why are those candidates the ones you're backing?
My fellow candidates?
Yeah, your fellow, why are they the ones that, why should we vote for them?
Oh, well,
The best possible answer, not bullshit, by the way.
I love that lady. Yeah, they are exceptional people. They really are. Narisa McKinnon, she'd love to be here. She's at another event and then she's got a family obligation. She is Chief Operating Officer of a neurology healthcare group. She manages people, she manages a budget. Rob Paiva is a former Chief Executive Officer and he runs a political action committee. These are committed Republicans. Okay, Rob is trying to save Texas for Texans. And he, like I said, he was a former Chief Executive Officer. Again, he knows how to run a budget and run a business. And so they are exceptional people, exceptional Republicans, genuinely quality people.
Any other questions?
If I could add to that, so Narissa is actually used to be a volunteer fire worker, so she also knows that part of the business. And her husband is still a paramedic. So she's very intimate, and her passion is really around concern of the emotional stress it puts on these firefighters over time. So that's something that very interesting to her, is to make sure these guys are getting the mental health counseling that, support that they need.
Yeah, her husband is a paramedic in Montgomery County. And, these guys see trauma almost daily. So one of her major concerns is addressing the mental health care that they receive. Did I write something out here?
I had gotten an email maybe a week or two ago, and it said to get a sample ballot, just put your address in, and so I did. I found it back from the Republican Women's Club I'm in, and it said for my address in district, it's in Longwood, and it's changed to District 3, but it said there was no ballot in my I was wondering if anybody possibly got one of those.
You're in ESD 11.
We'll check yours right now, but yeah, 688 is a split one. So some folks, but if you're on the east side of Huffmeister, you're not in ESD 9. So we can check that. But to confuse things a little bit more clarification, there's like 3 different elections going on, not counting some of the HOAs, okay? And then I want to clarify, this election, it's plurality, right? So there's no runoff, right? It's one election, the top 3 vote getters win, okay? And so you could be a new board member with about 17% of the vote, okay? All right, so that's also May 7th, all right? So early voting is that, I think it's also next week, and you will vote in your normal voting locations, I think. On election day, I don't know if that's been settled yet for the May 7th election. Obviously, they've been settled, but I don't know if the same locations. They've consolidated, but that you can definitely find that out on Harris County. Right, yes, and then we'll look it up right now, okay? Okay, yeah. I don't know if you know Charlotte or not, but she's in ESD 11. Go ahead.
We'll entertain one more question before we move. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. When you were talking about all the building and expansion, do you know who the construction companies are? Are they connected to the Cypher ISD construction companies? Are they the same companies? The reason I'm asking is because Tommy Bayless is the chairman of the Community Leadership Committee at Cypher ISD. Another board member is also in administration of Cypher ISD. There seems to be a collaboration, so I'm wondering, are they utilizing the same vendors?
I can't speak to what vendors are being used in the ISD. I'm just not familiar. What I can tell you is a lot of the activity that's occurred in the ESD, they for some reason use the same architect for every building that they build. There seems to be a lot of repetition in the people being engaged to build our infrastructure. And I don't want to make any accusations just yet until I'm able to dig in, but it's curious why the same architect, same builders, etc., are being used. It seems suspicious to us.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to make some of the accusations, but you're absolutely right. And we've only scratched the surface on understanding those relationships, but absolutely. Some of the very same, businesses that are doing work with Cypher ISD, right, provide donations. They're the ones that'll get the nice photo moments with our board members or with Mark Henry and donating checks to the district, right? You can argue whether or not they're asking for favors and preference on bids, whatever, but the same vendors are also part of, and again, it's not a pure overlap, right? Firefighters don't need books as an example, but where they have a lot of services, there does seem to be a lot of inclusion. Now I'll conclude I don't know exact numbers, I know Clark might know this, is that the law firm that provides legal services for ESD 9 provides them for about 22 different ESDs in Harris County. That's a huge amount of power, okay? So, why are those competitive bids? Why does he have all of these ESDs? And then again, the same kind of thing. They're all going in the same direction where they got all kinds of money, taxes, spending is going up, unionization of the firefighters. That's kind of the trend, which is certainly not supporting constitutional values, we don't believe. So we just need more transparency, more accountability, right? That's why I care enough about investing my time in this election.
Let's give Kevin a hand.
Thank you, everyone.